Good afternoon in the next episode of OPOstories from the NBA. Good afternoon here in Poland and good morning in the Arizona. Today, my guest is Sharone Wright. Sharone, thank you for accepting invitation to my podcast.
Yeah, of course, of course.
When I think about this Sharone Wright as an NBA fan who started his journey in the middle of the 90s, it's of course Philadelphia 76ers and
Mhm.
Anwil Włocławek, Polish basketball team. When you played one season, as a proof, uh, there is the signature. This is one, and the second one. So first was
Oh,
the
cool.
First was the NBA card, and the second was signature here in Poland. How do you remember this time spent in Poland, especially that now you are in the Arizona, which is really hot
Yeah,
region, and
yeah.
Poland was quite cold, I guess, for you.
Uh, I just I have the best memories, man, and I think for me it was just kind of very inspirational for me because when I came from the NBA, I had been in the NBA for one, two, three, four, 5 seasons, and I needed to kind of get better. I thought that I was good, but I never thought I was in the best shape or that I had my level had not been pushed. And the first thing that I when I got to Włocławek was because it was crazy because like I was an NBA guy and I thought it was gonna be easy. I thought it was gonna be a situation where I would just dominate. But it was a very high quality. It was very high with the competition. When I first got there, I was picked up in my room by Ginteris Kajilius.
Hmm.
And then we went out and got some pizza. And I met with Robbie Vika and then also with Armand Skelly and Giannis Blooms, and we all went to um, a little pizza spot, and then I had not met my coach yet, Andre Ula. I had not met him yet, and I grew up with a high school coach that was really tough, and once I got to Clemson, I kind of already knew everything. I was one of the best players in college, and I knew things that I needed to do. But then once I got in the NBA, it was kind of hard, but not hard with the coaches. And then once, and at that point, I went to Anvil, and I got Andre Ula, who was wow, he was the toughest coach, one of the toughest coaches I've ever had. We started out practicing 2 times every day. We're really three because we lift weights in the middle of the day. It was just like old Cold War communist type stuff. It was, and not that he's a communist, I'm sure, I don't know if he is or not, but uh, it was just like, that's Padanya, like, hey, you, hi, da, da, da. That's like, it was like that. And he was like Joseph Stalin, you know what I mean? It was crazy. And I'm talking about not the usual 45-minute practices, but there were like 2 hour and 3 hour practices each time, twice a day. And I started to like really get cramped. I was coming home. So the first 2 or 3 months, I never got a chance to experience Poland because I was so tired. Like he was, and then I was doing extra work too. He was really pushing me. I think he saw a lot out of me. He was a really good coach. Like I said, he was one of the best coaches I ever had because he pushed me and made me like really, really go hard. I had always I did things on ability. I was really good, so I felt like I didn't need to work as hard. But this man was crazy. And then I remember, and this is the reason why I remember everything about Poland. I remember everything about it because of how much I learned, and so on and so forth. And the second thing was I was a history major at Clemson. So I was really interested in that part of the world, especially after World War II. I was interested in that. I was interested in how the Nazis treated the Polish people, obviously invading Poland, and then the death camps that were very close to that area, and just that whole thing. I was interested in that particular part of the world.
So after during this tough practicing, you got the time to also somehow visit Poland to be in this important historical places?
Yeah, I did. I also visited Turin. I visited. I would always go to Turin all the time and go to Warsaw. We would go to Warsaw all the time, which I thought was one of the best cities in the world. Warsaw was. It was so great. And it reminded me of New York, not a little bit of New York City, a little bit, not the high buildings, but just the nightlife and everything. It was really cool over there. I had a good time over there, especially with my guys. We were very close on that team. We were, and still are. Like Dusan Bacevsky is one of my better friends still. We come from different parts of the world, but he's one of my best dudes. Uh, uh, I mean, I was very close with Robbie. Even with Mark's crazy, but Mark was crazy. Armands was always, thinking he's an NBA guy. I told him, "You're not an NBA guy. You're not good enough to be an NBA." But they were all like little brothers to me. Like, I mean, Giannis, Ginteris, I think we had a different group that was really, really, really tough. We were tough, and the only times that we ran into problems was because we really played well in EuroLeague. We played well in EuroLeague, but we could never beat Slonsk. We could never beat them. They beat us a lot. No, they beat us once, and then we beat them once, and then we would go to Gdansk, and then that was always hard, a hard game. So, but we were a very good group, and when you go through practices so much and so much hard work, you tend to be closer together. You're closer together because you're around each other all the time. So that was a good thing for us.
Mm-hmm. As a basketball fan from Tri-City and from Sopot, it was Procon Trefl Sopot Times. Of course, yeah. I have to ask you about this competition with Trefl, because there was a lot of energy, a lot of crazy fans, really big noise on the crowds. How do you remember, and can you compare it to the other situation? Maybe not from NBA, because it's a different type of fans, but from the NCAA. How about the intensity of this crowd?
Yeah, it reminded me a lot. Sopot was really, really good. They were really, really, really good, and I felt like, I mean, they reminded me of the NBA team. They really did. With Goran on that team, they were really good, and we had no answer for him. Like they didn't have an answer for me. I scored a lot, but I think that I just think they had our number. We would go there, and when they came to our spot, to Włocławek, we played well, but we did not beat them. I think they just had a lot of savvy older players that could really do it. When we went there, I thought it was kind of, the atmosphere was great because it's really a lot of people. There was a lot of people there, and I know that coach always wanted us to kind of get there early. We would go like one day before the game, whereas before sometimes you would go on the day of the game. But we would go the day before the game so we could get something to eat and have film session and stuff like that. He treated it like an NBA situation. He really did, and because he was really an NBA coach. You know, he really was. He was an NBA coach. He did things the way NBA teams do. You know, so it showed.
Under Reps is still in the Polish Basketball League. He sometimes disappeared from the Polish Basketball League, then came back, and now they won the championship again. But from the Poland, let's go to the beginning of your story with the basketball. I'm really curious and all the time ask this question at the beginning of the conversation with former NBA players. Who was your favorite basketball player or players when you were a kid?
My dad was my favorite. He died when I was 17, and then also Moses Malone was my favorite, one of my favorite, probably my favorite of all time. Uh, Dan Roundfield, who was my AAU coach, he was one of my favorites. I would say those two guys, they kind of inspired me to play the right way.
Mm-hmm. You got also the chance to play against Moses Malone. Am I right?
Only in pickup. He was a lot older by the time I got to the NBA. He was older, so I didn't get a chance to play against him in the NBA game. But I learned a lot from him because I studied him so much. I wanted to be just like him. So.
Mm-hmm. And how did it look your journey from the very first shot to the basket, probably near your home, to the first NBA game? How many effort you need to put to become the NBA player? Because I guess the size is not the only issue.
No, it was difficult because I just felt like I had to practice every day. I think it was just more the hard work, and you can have the situation where you want to be something, but you still have to put the work in. And my mother really pushed me. My dad pushed me to be the best. I wanted to be the best player in the world. I think early on. So early on, I played. I played recreation league, and then from there I wasn't very good. And from there, I played middle school basketball all the time, and I wasn't very good either. And then when I got to high school, things started picking up. The game slowed down for me, and then I started getting taller and bigger. And then I started honing in what I was going to do on the floor, and I became one of the best players in the country at that point.
Mm-hmm. And how do you remember that draft night when 76ers picked you with the sixth overall pick? Did you think that you will be in the 76ers, or do you got the other voices from the other teams that you will be in somewhere else?
Well, I had taken about 4 workouts. One was Milwaukee Bucks, the other the Washington Bullets, and the Sixers and the Lakers. I had done those workouts, but I didn't know until 1 week, the week of the draft. Philadelphia told me that that they would take me if I'm still available at number 6. And I knew Washington was going between my good friend Juwan Howard and me, and it was either going to be me or him, and it was him. And then, so I knew at the 6th pick that I was going to get drafted. I knew it.
Mm-hmm. And what did surprise you the most when you became the NBA player? What was the most difficult for the rookie?
As a rookie, I think it was more how strong everybody was. I played against some really tough and strong guys, and then, but I was strong too. But it's just that they had that different type of strength. They had a different strength, and I didn't know that I would have to go up against certain guys or whatever. So I had to, how you just, you just get throw somebody into a fire and they have to learn how, or sometimes somebody into a swimming pool and they got to learn how to swim. Sometimes you got to just learn how to swim. And I had to learn how to swim in that situation. The biggest surprise was just the amount of travel that you have to do, and then also the time management. So you gotta manage your time. Probably that's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. And in your team, there was maybe not in the same position, but Sean Bradley, one of the biggest at the time center. There was also Clarence Witherspoon, which was called like a little Charles Barkley. And when I talk with the other players, they told me that usually there is this period of the time when you need to prove to the older teammates, the veterans, that you're not just a kid which is just by accident in the NBA. And after this period, you became the really teammate. They try to like the other player, the part of the team. How long does it take for you to become the truly not only the rookie but all the teammate?
I was really fortunate because I came to a team that wasn't very good. No, we weren't very good at the time, so I had a little bit of little advantage in that. But we did have older guys that I had to prove some things to, and the way that you prove that is you try to be a great professional, not just a good player, but you have to be a good professional. And when you learn that, that's when they respect you more. If you're a good pro, being a good pro is huge. It's not so much about how many points you score, but about how you go about your business. You come to practice, you come to work every day. Those are the type of things that, I think they liked about me as a young player. And even after the NBA, when I went to Anwil Włocławek, I think, that was one of the things that Coach said too. Coach Ula, he always said, like, okay, well, you're going to work your butt off every day. And it was just, if you can do that every day, then you earn the respect of everybody.
And which players were toughest to guard during this first NBA seasons? I guess that for sure it was Shaquille O'Neal.
No, not really. Derek Coleman, who later ended up being one of my teammates, was very tough because he was versatile. Oh man, Karl Malone was tough, very tough because he was so strong. Shaquille was tough, but not like the toughest. I think the toughest was out of everybody was Hakeem Olajuwon because he just had so much, just versatility. He could do a lot. And then defensively, when he guarded you, but I was a forward, so I wasn't a center. I was a forward that could play center. So when Sean got into foul trouble or something, then I would move over to center and I could play center. And I didn't mind it. I kind of I knew I was a forward, but at the same time, I felt like I could play center too. So those are the guys that I think were really tough. Ewing, Robinson, Rick Smits, Alonzo Mourning, Shaquille. Man, those were the guys that were tough.
Mm-hmm. And after 76 years, you played in Toronto Raptors. And, when you were in the Toronto Raptors roster, there was a serious car accident which changed completely your NBA career. And what was the most difficult for you after this? Because as we can see from, for example, from Bobby Harley, he also got the car accident from the top prospect point guard from the Duke University. He suddenly wasn't in the same shape like Bobby, which we know from the NCAA. So how it looks in your life?
I think it changed my whole outlook on things because I wasn't the same explosive player that I had been. Uh, I was coming off a situation where I had been very, 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 very good, and then it took a few years from me. You know what I mean? Like from my prime. Um, it was tough with my left side, left arm. That was really tough, and it just made me a little bit less percentage of the player that I was. It took a little bit out of me. So um, anytime you have that type of injuries, those type of injuries, you know, you're gonna have things that are not the right way. So
Did you try to come back to the NBA?
yeah, I went back to the NBA, back to the Raptors, but then I wasn't the same player. So I decided that I would just get fully healed, you know, get fully healed and then go back. And then that's when I went to Miami for a training camp. And then that's when, you know, I went to Anvil, back to Europe. I went to Europe after that. So, you know, it was pretty good. And in Anvil, like I said, coach really got me in shape. I was ready to go back to the NBA when he got finished with me, I was ready for NBA after that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and of course you've got the short career in the NBA, but if you could choose the top three moments from being in the NBA, what would be on that list?
I made the All-Star team one year, the rookie All-Star game, and it was in here. It was here in Phoenix. That would be good. Uh, with Toronto, we were very good, and playing against that 72-10 team, they were really good, and I just felt like that was great. A very good time also was in Toronto when we were very young. We were Stoudemire, Camby, that group, and we were really tough. I think. And as far as the NBA, yeah, it's just being on the good teams. I was on two really good teams that I learned from. So
Mm-hmm. And who would you pick to if you could create the uh, all-time Sharone Wright teammates team? It could be only from the NBA, but also you could choose from the other team, the other leagues.
um, you want me to be totally honest with you? I had great NBA teammates. Um, really did. Derek Austin, Derek Coleman. Um, I would say Robbie Vitka would be one from Manville. It was just Robbie and I just clicked, man. We were, you know, I'm a little bit taller than Robbie, but Robbie, I got a chance to be with his wife and his kids. I mean, just you know, we still talk now. Like that's my guy. We're just always going to be really good friends. Ginteris Kazulias was and still is one of my favorite guys. We talk. He's coaching in Russia, I think, right now, and I keep up with what he's doing pretty much. Um, uh, Tracy Murray from the Raptors
Mm-hmm.
really was one of my better friends in the league, and then also uh, Dusan Bachevsky, who actually we played the same position, but Ulep kept us both on the floor. We both were starters, and I mean, he's the type of guy that when you're in the army and you have someone in the trenches with you, like he will be there. Like he is, I mean, tough guy, played hard. He only spoke 2 or 3 words the whole day, but then when he did it, he was like, he called me Sharon. He's like, Sharon, look, man, you're my brother. You know, just he's just like that, and I love that guy. So I would say those guys right there. I'm missing somebody. Uh, there's a guy named Case Akkerboom who I played with in the Netherlands. who was one of my better friends on the team. I just love playing with Case. And that's it. I mean, as you can see, there are three guys from the Anwil team. We were really, really close. Like I said, we were very close. That team right there, maybe we didn't win this championship, but people still remember that team. People talk about us. I get letters and emails and stuff from different people that were around at that time, and they can't believe that we didn't win, but they love us. They're talking about Giannis Blooms, who had a great career in Europe after that. Giannis was like my little brother, and Armand Skelly, who was like my little brother. Like they were young guys on that team, and people talk about them still. They still talk about Robbie. Robbie had a great career in Poland. Kazulius is Lithuanian. You know, he and Donatas Zavaskas was on our team. You may remember Donatas. Donatas had played at Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh. He was a starter on the teams there, and then he came to Anvil. But they were both Lithuanian, and I just had a great time with those guys. I had a great time. We were really good. It's only one of the only teams that I was on that everybody got along. Everybody. There was no jealousy. There was no envy. There was none of that. We were just, and we spent time together because we were on the road a lot. We played in the EuroLeague thing, so FIBA, I think it was, and so I love that team so much. I really did. Those guys.
It's really nice to hear it, especially that many times the players from the US came to Poland for 1 or 2 seasons, and it's nice to hear about this kind of chemistry which were in the team. You've got really devoted fans for sure. What you remember as from Sopot. But it's I guess that many of them still remember you. With pleasure, we'll take a look at this episode of the podcast to come back to this 2003-04 season.
Yeah, I feel it was two things. One is I felt like it was a very good league too. Like it was no cakewalk. Slonsk was really good. Adam Wojcik was there. They were really, really good. Sapa obviously was really good. We were very, very good. And there were 2 other teams that were really good too. So it wasn't like, a cakewalk. It wasn't like that. You could, and guess what? All 3 of those teams was in EuroLeague. So you had 3 teams from Poland in the EuroLeague: Slonsk, Sapa, and Anvil. And we all were very good. So when one of us played, it was just like, man, it was so packed. And I remember having to come through the arena, the bottom part of the arena, to get into the game. I would have to do that. And then I had fans at my house. Fans were at our house sometimes, and then it was just it was great, man. It was great. I was always out. The food was great. It was great food. There was no racism. There was no. I guess when you think about how much the Polish people had suffered during the war, like they didn't understand racism at that point. Like, because a lot of Polish people are Jewish, and they understand how hard it was, dealing with the Nazis and that type of thing. So, they treated me with a lot of respect and love. Like, Polish people were great, man. I had really many friends over there. It was really nice.
Mm-hmm. Nice to hear it. Sharone, thank you very much for the chance to talk about the NBA time, the Polish League time. So thank you again for being in the OPOstories from the NBA podcast, and have a nice day in Arizona.
You too, man. You too, buddy. Talk to you later.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.